everybody. Welcome to the 98th SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream here on YouTube. I'm going to say a few hellos. Scott, Wingo, William, Randy, Barry, Thunder, Ace. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday afternoon where I am. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great week. Hope you had a chance to play the guitar. We got a good show for you today. What's special about this week's show? It's Bob Dylan's birthday. So we're going to do a bonus play-along song. So stick around for that. We're going to do a regular play-along that we always do. It's a great tune. You're going to love it. And I thought we'd do a Bob Dylan tune as well, since today is Bob Dylan's 84th birthday. What else do we have going on? We have a poll question up and running. The poll question for this week's live stream: how do you feel about guitar repair people? Hopefully you have one in your life. Possible answers to that question in our poll include the answer, I love my guitar repair person. That's a good answer, right? I hope that's the answer for all of you. But other answers, here we go. Other answers include, I have never met a guitar repair person. Another answer, my guitar repair person is scary. Maybe they give you stern looks and make you feel like, I don't know, you're scared. And of course, as always, we have the other option. So a bunch of different possible answers. And if you fall into the other category, let us know about your relationship with guitar repair people. In today's show, we have so many things going on, but the show it exists for your questions. So do ask me a question. If you got a guitar related question, make sure you put a few question marks in advance. That's how I know your question is aimed at me. What else are we going to talk about? I'm going to teach you a couple lessons you'll never forget. Little tough love. We're going to do a quick segment on reading tab. Last week we talked about that a little bit, and it turns out that not all of you are super comfortable reading tab. So we're going to do a quick tough love segment on reading tab. I have a bit of Sweetwater humor to show you. You guys know that, like a lot of you, I'm a big fan of Sweetwater, but it doesn't mean we can't poke fun at Sweetwater a little bit. Got a funny meme to show you about Sweetwater. We're going to talk about new albums by awesome guitar players, albums that just came out yesterday by a few different guitar players. What else? We're going to talk about, I'm going to name drop for a minute. We're going to talk about Larry Campbell. We're going to talk about Bill Kirchen. We had some earthquakes here in Connecticut. That's right. If you didn't hear about them where you live, you didn't hear about the Connecticut earthquakes, it's because they were cute little Connecticut earthquakes. So I'm going to tell you more about that. A segment I call Who's in Town, a bunch of talented people coming through my neighborhood. I'm going to tell you about them. We have 2 student quotes of the week. We have my own dumb question of the week. We have a segment I call Should I Sell Out? Some interesting offers this week. And yeah, that ought to keep us hopping. Ooh, maybe the biggest news, even bigger than earthquakes here in Connecticut. Someone donated guitars to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. What guitars? How many guitars? How about 500 priceless guitars? What? Yes, I'm going to share a link that will explain all of that. Big guitar news. Holy moly. And of course, like I said, we have not just one, but 2 play-along songs this week. And I think you're going to get a kick out of both of them. Hello, Joseph. Thank you for being here. So yeah, a lot going on for this week's show. Where should we even begin? Did anyone realize that for about a week, we're going to have a calendar date that's a palindrome, like today's date, 52425. It's the same forwards and backwards. So beginning on what, 5/20, beginning on May 20th and going through May 29th, right? Because May 30th is not going to work. Nope. So from May 20th to May 29th, the date when you write it out, 52425, is a palindrome. I love that. Now you know my little secret. This is the kind of thing that gets me excited. So there you go. All right. Hey, for those of you who are right here and you got your guitar handy and you're ready to rock and roll, let me get right to one of today's lessons you'll never forget. Okay, grab your guitar. Is it tuned up? I hope it is. Let's get right down to this. Why wait? The PDF I'm about to show you is available at my website for members of my website. So if you are a member, or if you intend to become a member, don't worry about copying down, the information I'm about to show you. Okay, there we go. Chord fun. All right, one of this week's lessons you'll never forget. The name, I'm sorry, the name isn't such a great name. I'm calling it Chord Fun with G, C, D, and E minor. I know, it's not a great name. I get it. Okay, here we go. But I think you'll get a kick out of what's going on. This live stream, I consider this live stream a weapon of mass instruction, and it begins right now. 10 minutes in, let's do it. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, let me get this. That's going to bug me. And what's that little thing down there? That's going to bug me too. Oh, it's the microphone? No, what is that? I don't know. All right, let's get down to business. Chord Fun. This is a dumb name for a very cool and very important thing. I know it's a little bit small on your screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Here's the premise. This is not just a kind of academic exercise, although it is that. I know the bottom gets a little bit cut off, but you know what? Everything you need is right there. Okay. You can treat this as an exercise. That first measure sounds like, it's pretty, right? Nice little melody. But here's the significance, and here's why this is a lesson you never forget. I want you to imagine you're in a scenario where someone else is playing the G chord. Hypothetically, let's talk about a piano player, friend of yours, has written a song, and the intro of the song is, let's say, 8 beats, 8 counts on a G chord. And the piano players, they got the chords. They don't need you to play the chords, but they kind of expect and hope that you're going to put in a cute little thing during the first 8 counts of the song. That's going to be a nice little intro, potentially even a signature riff of the tune. Okay, so you go into this mode where you're aware of the background chord, what the piano player is playing, but you're not just going to strum a G chord, because at best it's redundant. At worst, it muddles up the sound, right? You don't need everyone to be banging on G chords. Okay, so what you have there in that first measure, the 0, 0, 0, those are, in effect, those are the 3 open strings. When you grab a G chord, those are the 3 open strings on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Those are chord tones, right? They're tones, they're notes that are inherently part of the chord. The 1 on the 2nd string is not a chord tone. It's a passing tone, but it sounds pretty. The 2 on the 3rd string and the 2 on the 4th string, also passing tones, right? They play well, they pair well with the G chord, and they're waiting there for you to make a nice little melodic riff out of. So this was my idea for the melodic riff. But you can shake up those notes and put those notes in any order you want, right? You can play the same note 3 times in a row. But whatever you do, don't, especially when you're improvising with this, don't only play the open strings, right? The whole point is to include the 1 and the 2s, right? To get a little melody going on there. Don't worry, you're still in the world of G, right? Okay, look at the second measure. Second measure, same concept, but the G chord we're working with is that 3, 4, 5. Nice little diagonal line on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. You gotta trust me, that is a G chord. It fits the musical definition of a G chord. It might not be the way you've ever played G before. You might be, mostly accustomed, or that might be your default G chord, right? Regular G chord, nothing wrong with that. But starting now, you don't want to have tunnel vision. Just because someone tells you to play a G chord, it no longer means, starting right now, it no longer means that your fretting hand should immediately grab the old-fashioned G chord, right? There's a lot of other possibilities out there, including this one. Now, my challenge to you is to keep those 3 fingers in place. Index on that 3 on the B string, middle on 4 on the G string, ring on 5 on the D string. But you're going to access some passing tones with your pinky. Notice how my left hand did not abandon the G chord. It's right there, right? The pinky did the melodic work. Let's call it the melodic work. And again, imagine the piano player is vamping on the G chord for 4 counts, 8 counts, maybe more, and you have an opportunity to put something there, right? It doesn't have to be in this order. Remember, you can improvise. You could go. That could be the riff. Right? Sounds kind of simple, a little melodic. Is it memorable? I don't know. Maybe, right? Quick time to tell a story. I was working with some high school kids, and they were writing an original song. And I pointed the piano player. I said, tomorrow morning, I want you to show up with a signature riff, an intro riff, but something catchy, not just a bunch of notes, something that is going to be the signature of the tune. And he did. He came back the next day, and it was the simplest thing. I think I told him to no more than 5 notes. Ba bum ba ba bum, and it was perfect. I mean, I felt like a producer, a record producer. The kid understood the assignment. He was mature enough to keep it simple. I mean, you can tell someone to keep it simple. It doesn't mean they're going to do that. So my point, don't underestimate a little riff like that. Right? Many, many, many famous songs have riffs that are no more complicated than that. But as soon as you hear it, you're back to that time and place in your life where you first heard that song. Okay, ready to move on? By the way, why did I choose G, C, D, and E minor chords? I thought you'd never ask. They're such common chords, right? They're so common. Actually, before we move on past that G chord, that 3, 4, 5 G, you move it up 2 frets, you've got an A chord. I'm playing the second measure, just everything 2 frets higher. Right? That's the same thing in the key of A. 2 frets higher, same thing in the key of B. You got to start somewhere. So I started with 4 extremely common chords, G, C, D, and E minor, but make a commitment to taking all this stuff, everything on the page, and moving it up 2 frets, moving it backwards 2 frets. You get the idea. Second line, the C chord. Please do that with 1 finger, that 5, 5, 5 C chord. That's your index finger making a partial bar across the guitar strings. Of course, it's okay for your index finger to touch the skinny first E string. We're just not going to be strumming that string. You notice how what I just played is just the exact same thing as the very first measure at the top of the page, just everything's 5 frets higher, right? First measure, the key of G. This C measure, right? Same thing, right? Combination of chord tones and passing tones. Measure 4, the 8, 9, 10 C. Just 5 frets higher than everything that came before it. See a pattern here, right? I'm not trying to be wildly creative because I want to get the idea in your head. You be wildly creative with this material, but don't worry if this feels repetitious and familiar, right? Third line, same concept as the C line, 2 frets higher. It's D. See that? How about measure number 6, the 10, 11, 12 version of D? Okay, see where we're going with this, right? Opportunities to have some fun. And one scenario where you would use this is someone else is already playing the chord, whether it's a piano player, guitar player strumming. I used the example of a piano player to remind all of us that piano is the other instrument that produces chords, right? In our grand global culture of song, someone's got to play chords. Typically, it's the guitar or the piano. Of course, it could be the accordion, could be the banjo, the mandolin, right? More often than not, it seems like it's the guitar or the piano, assuming it's music that's based on guitar and piano sounds. Okay, so that's a scenario that I actually hope you all find yourself in, not only so I can say, I told you so, but you got to think on your feet. If you might be great at G, C, D, and E minor, but there's going to come a time where that's not good enough. You got to have an alternative. You got to do something else, especially if the person or the group that you're playing with, they want you to give some personality to the song. They're hoping that you can, jazz things up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to scroll up just a hair so we can do this E minor. Okay, see that okay? The bottom of the page. Okay, E minor. Then this is not the hard part. In fact, this last, the 8th measure? That might be the easiest one of all of them. Not much to say, a lot of open strings, right? All those open strings are your chord tones, and the 2 and 3 are the passing tones. Okay, the bottom measure could be the trickiest for a few of you. If it is, do not worry. Let's start with just the premise. That's 7, 8, 9 on the 3 treble strings. That's an E minor chord, 7, 8, 9. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but I love my easy E minor down here. I don't want to learn any other E minors. I love E minor. Yeah, but again, imagine someone else is already strumming. Imagine if you're in a room like a song circle jam session and 2 people, 3 people are already grabbing that E minor. You can't. Don't be the 4th person. Don't do it. I'm going to put that in a t-shirt. SongBike guitar lessons. Don't be the 4th person playing E minor, Hear that? Now, like I said earlier, my challenge to you, especially on this E minor, as much as possible, keep those 3 fingers in place on the 7, 8, and 9 until you have to move them. For instance, after that first strum, that 7, 8, 9 strum, I would move only my middle finger over to the first string 8. And then take my middle finger off, put it back where it was so I can play the 7 on the first string. Now check it out, that 10 on the second string, just reach up with your pinky. Don't move anything else. Okay, the 8 on the second string, you've already got it. That's where your middle finger is when you return it to the second string. And the 9s are waiting for you, your ring finger note. So remember, you have multiple challenges going on here. Playing what's written, that's a challenge, right? But then getting so comfortable, maybe even a little bit bored with what's on the paper, that you begin to improvise with it. Shake up those notes, play them in a different order. By the way, every single one of these, as you can tell, every one of these examples, the first thing I have you do is to strum multiple strings to establish the sound of the chord, right? To get that sound fresh in our ears. You don't have to do that. I just, as a teacher, I thought that would be a appropriate thing to sort of set the table, so to speak. But you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to strum multiple strings at all. Okay, get the idea? One way you can put this to use is get yourself a looper if you don't already have one, or simply record yourself. Simply record yourself playing a combination of G, C, D, and E minor, right? You can shake those chords up in any order you want. You don't even have to start on G, right? If you don't have a looper, I have a link to a good one in the description of this video. You can get one from Sweetwater. But if you don't have a looper, hey, save your money. Just use your phone. I bet you have a cell phone, right? However you record, whatever you can record on your phone, a voice memo kind of app, make up a chord progression. Could be literally 8 strums on G, 8 strums on C, 8 strums on D, 8 strums in E minor. There's your chord progression. Doesn't have to be in that order, but let's use that as an example. Record yourself doing that, but do it for at least 60 seconds, if not longer, right? Because then you press play and now you've got a chance to improvise with this stuff, Do you have to use all 4 of those chords? No, it's okay if you've never done anything like this before. Just do a G chord and record yourself doing a G chord, just lightly strumming a G chord for however long you can stand it. Don't do just 4 strums if you're recording yourself on your phone, because you don't want to have to keep hitting play, right? All right, I'm gonna wet my whistle. Stand by. The cider is back from Lyman Orchards. Is this the one from Middlefield, Connecticut? There you go. Shake well. I always forget. But the apples themselves come from Leominster, Massachusetts, as always. All right. So what do you think? Is that a lesson you never forget? I hope so. I'm going to stop sharing. Keep in mind that everything you just were looking at is available as a PDF. Right? In fact, it's that exact thing on my website, song-bike.com. Why is it called SongBike? I love songs. I love bikes. I wanted a name that was a little bit weird in a good way. Once, way back when the internet was, still a baby, and we all became aware there's a big website called Yahoo. I don't know about you, but I thought, okay, well, if there's something out there called Yahoo, I guess anything can be called anything, right? Yahoo, Google, as these words, remember when Amazon was just a really big river? So SongBike, why not? Why not? Oh, speaking of SongBike, you can support this live stream by getting yourself some SongBike merch. That information is in the description of this live stream and every live stream. Okay, I'm looking at what you guys are saying in the chat. Barry says, will there be a special live show for number 100? Barry, you're reading my mind. Knock on wood, 2 weeks from today will be our 100th live stream. 100. Holy moly, that's a lot. And my little brain is working on it. I will do something special. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I have every intention of doing something a little bit special for the 100th live stream. Although, speaking of special, I'll give you something special. Here's something you might get a kick out of. Let me see if I can. Okay. There we go. A little humor. Why not? A little humor never killed anyone, did it? Here's something you might get a kick out of. Everybody, that I'm a fan of Sweetwater, because who isn't a fan of Sweetwater? And if you're like me, you are in regular touch with your Sweetwater representative. And there you go. From the page called The Hard Times. For those of you who might be listening instead of watching, there's a picture of a funeral. And the headline is, Sweetwater rep attends funeral for man who bought an overdrive pedal in 2008. And there you go. There's a little Sweetwater humor for you. And you know what? My Sweetwater rep is a good guy, and I wouldn't put it past him to go above and beyond for any of his Sweetwater clients. There you go. Static Zigzag says the Sweetwater guy calls every 5 seconds. Yeah, I know. They're just doing their job, man. They're just doing their job. You let it go to voicemail. That's okay. I know, though. I know. I was talking with one of my in-person students today about the different type of the variety of amplifier profilers that are out there. Essentially computers, right? For lack of a better term, computers that can emulate the sound of a lot of famous expensive amplifiers. So you buy that one unit and you can access all these legendary amplifier sounds. And one of the big names out there is Kemper, the Kemper profiler. So I pulled it up on the Sweetwater page and I said, man, last time I pulled up this Kemper profiler, $1,400 in Sweetwater. Within a few days, my Sweetwater rep got in touch and said, hey, I noticed you were browsing around with that Kemper profiler, maybe we can, I forget if he was offering me a little better price or just wanted to know if I had any questions or whatever. It's a $1,400 piece of electronics, right? So I was talking with my student today. We looked at the Kemper profiler. I closed down the Sweetwater window and my phone rang. I thought, come on, man, that cannot be my Sweetwater rep. Whoever it was, the area code was a Nebraska area code. And as you guys know, Sweetwater is located in Indiana. So I'm pretty sure it was not my Sweetwater rep. And he didn't leave a message, but oh well. Static Zigzag always asks for extra candy. Yeah, yep. Yep. Scott Rhodes says, inappropriately, the Sweetwater rep brought a bag of Laffy Taffy to the funeral. Hey, it's what he would have wanted. The deceased, maybe that's what he would have wanted. Yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sweetwater, what a phenomenon, right? As you guys know, I do have a Sweetwater affiliate link. If you use that link to head over to the website, Sweetwater sends back a little bit of their profits to support this live stream. So my Sweetwater affiliate link is in the description of every live stream, including today's live stream. All right, how you doing? You having a good time yet? Did you learn something? I hope so. We're just getting started. Hey, let me check off a few things. I got to check things off with a red pen. Check. How are we doing our poll? We got some votes. For those of you who are just joining us, we got 22 votes already. The question is, how do you feel about guitar repair people, also known as luthiers, also known as guitar techs? Although when I hear the term luthier, I kind of reserve that term for someone who is making guitars from scratch, basically, right? Some people can do both. They can make a guitar from scratch, and they can also do all the little repairs that we need. Hey, earthquakes. Did I whet your appetite before about earthquakes? We had not one, but we had 2 earthquakes here in Connecticut. Did you feel them? You did not feel them. I'll tell you why you didn't feel it. Because even if you live in Connecticut, I can't believe I heard this correctly, only 8 people reported feeling anything. So in the town of New Britain, hard-hitting New Britain, as my wife would say, hard-hitting New Britain, Connecticut, they had a 2.0 earthquake. The magnitude was 2.0. And in Essex, Connecticut, which is actually just a stone's throw over there, a couple miles from where I am right now, 1.8 magnitude earthquake. That's Connecticut style. We're a small state. I don't think we could, we got small earthquakes, but we do have earthquakes. Little side note, there is a town a few miles away from here that is on some kind of fault line, and they feel rumbles a little more often than the rest of us. And guess what? The high school mascot, the team is known as the Little Noises. Isn't that cute? It's adorable, right? The Little Noises, because this town is, I guess they have these little earthquake kind of noises once in a while. There you go. A little bit of Connecticut background for you there. Charlie Beagle says, the one luthier in my area is too busy working on school band instruments to do anything else. Interesting. So that's someone who, that's great. If you got someone who can do all of the above. A school band program, especially a successful school band program, you're going to have kids they're going to get their mouthpieces stuck in their trumpets. They're going to get all their clarinets gunked up with spit and who knows what else. And I'm sure that could keep someone busy, on a regular basis, and they got to get them fixed. Otherwise they can't be in the band, right? Hey, Mariah, thank you for checking in from Katy, Texas. Mariah, I recognize your last name. I have a feeling that you're related to Bill. Mariah, are you the bass player that I heard about? I heard that you were the bass player in the family. John Cavallo has a question. John says, G, C, A minor. Are those the chords for the Bob Dylan song, Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll? You might be right. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I know the tune, but I wouldn't be surprised. But in case you guys have not done it or don't do it on a regular basis, if you want to find the chords to most any song, go to your search bar, whether you use Google or whoever you use, just type in the word chords and the name of the song. And chances are someone, if not multiple people, have posted how to play the song. Keep your eyes open. If you search for a song and you find the chords, look at the fine print. You might need a capo. In fact, we need a capo for one of tonight's virtual play-along songs, so get a capo handy. Obviously, it's hugely important information that sometimes gets buried, up by the title. But if you play the song without the capo, you're not going to be in the right key, and you're going to think you're doing something wrong. We don't want that. Yeah, Scott Rhodes says, I grew up near San Francisco. I don't even notice any earthquakes under 3.5 or 4. Yeah. I personally did not feel the earthquakes myself, but I've I've been located where I should have felt it. People around me said, "Oh, you just feel that," and I didn't feel it. So I missed it. I've never felt an earthquake, but I've been standing right where I should have felt it, but I guess it just wasn't enough. I needed to really rock my world, you know. William Collier says, the guitar tech in my town is older than dirt, but seems to do a good job. William is correcting me that it's his mom who's in the chat. Mrs. Collier, thank you for being here. And it's his daughter who's the bass player. Beautiful. So mom is the piano player, William is the guitar player, and Joanna is the bass player. Love it. Love it. Charlie is asking, do they have alarms for earthquakes in Connecticut? I don't want to say never, but no, I don't think we have an obvious system the way earthquake-prone places, I'm sure they do. We do have alarms in the town I'm sitting in right now. Over the firehouse, they have the ability to sound a really loud, horn kind of note and make a very loud announcement. So they would get the job done if, once the earthquake happens, it's a little bit too late, right? What are you going to say? Everybody okay? Poopa John is in the chat. Hey, Poopa John, thanks for being here. All right, you guys, I'm checking things off. Hey, here's another fun little thing I thought I'd throw your way. Bear with me, please. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for this. Did I just delete that? Come on, man. Gosh, did not mean to do that. Inbox. Slash from Guns N' Roses. We have any Guns N' Roses fans out there? Slash has caught my attention recently for one big reason. And the reason he has caught my attention is the following. He has really devoted himself recently to playing pedal steel guitar and learning it and performing on pedal steel guitar, which is pretty cool, right? There's nothing like for those of us who are students, you, me, all of us who are students of music, there's nothing like seeing someone famous, someone established, becoming a student again. And maybe they always consider themselves a student, but it's pretty cool to see it. And I'm going to pull up a picture in 1 second here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, good. Here's a photo of Slash playing some pedal steel. There we go. This particular photo came across my attention. I got my attention over there on Instagram, rbr.music. They posted not just this photo, but a video of Slash playing pedal steel in a country bar. I believe it was Waylon Jennings' son, Shooter Jennings. Does that name ring a bell? Shooter Jennings. I think this was actually his band, and Slash was sitting in. And he sounded pretty good. I love the sound of pedal steel. Okay, I love the sound of pedal steel, and it all sounds good to me. So I'm definitely not in a position where I can tell you how good he is. He's good. He's perfectly fine. It did remind me, though. Okay, it reminded me of one of my favorite scenes from any music documentary. Who saw Chuck Berry's movie called Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, right? It's great. Keith Richards is in it, and he kind of made it happen. There's plenty of great footage of Chuck Berry. But my favorite part of that movie, and of one of my favorite scenes of any movie, at the close, I shouldn't spoil it, but I got to do it. I got to tell you. At the end of the movie, I think it's when they're literally rolling credits. There's a overhead shot of Chuck Berry's nightclub during the daytime, and you hear some really sweet steel guitar. And the overhead shot gets closer and closer, and eventually it enters Chuck Berry's nightclub, which is totally empty. It's like an afternoon, and there's no one in the club except Chuck Berry playing some really sweet steel guitar. And which is a very cool way to end the movie. So next time you're in the mood, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, big documentary about Chuck Berry. And I just didn't see that coming. But, why shouldn't he play steel guitar, right? Or, but it's still fun to see our favorite guitar players picking up another instrument, playing another instrument and doing something like that. Especially because, they had to work at it, right? They might have even felt like they had to go back to square one. In fact, they have a type of pressure that you and I might not have, the expectation, right? You think, well, if someone's an amazing guitar player and they pick up anything else, you assume they're going to be really good at it, right? And so they've got that type of expectation that maybe you and I don't exactly have. Oh, Wingo, you read my mind, right? Wingo was about to mention that. Yeah, isn't that cool? You saw that, the scene I'm talking about, Wingo? Yeah, very cool. Very fun. Let's talk about some student quotes of the week. I got 2 for you. 2 student quotes of the week. One of my online students, I'm talking about Irish music, and he said, Irish music is either sad or wild. I like that. There you go. There you go. Sad or wild. Another student quote of the week. A young man, maybe 7 years old. He and I have done maybe about 10 lessons. Things are going great. We're learning the drums, and he's doing a great job. He's about 7. He's definitely not 8. He could be 6. Let's give him benefit of the doubt. Let's say he's 7. We're having a drum lesson, and we're learning "We Will Rock You." He's playing the beat to go along with "We Will Rock You." Boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. He's playing on the drums. I'm playing on the guitar, and out of nowhere, he says, I wish I could play it on the piano, because I got a piano right there in my lesson studio, right? Well, I'm not going to, discourage this boy from hopping over on the piano. So I get my stickers out. I listen to the song, make sure I get it in the right key on the piano. It starts on F sharp. If you're interested, the we starts on F sharp. Okay. So I put some stickers down. I number them. He bangs out "We Will Rock You" on the piano with very little practice. He's doing it. Life is good. He's happy. And he just kind of mutters to himself. He says, "This is better than that other place. At least I'm learning something." And his mom is like, "What? Like, it's a little harsh, Meanwhile, I'm just beaming with pride. Yes, thank you. That's the biggest compliment I've received in a long time. This is better than the other place. At least I'm learning something." I guess I'd forgotten. I guess he had a handful of lessons at some other location. And he's sitting there at the piano, and just to hear those words come out of his mouth, I'm like, "Oh, thank you, son. Thank you. That was nice to hear. It made my day." So those are the student quotes of the week. How about, let's do the tab real quick. For those of you who are very comfortable reading tab, awesome. This is going to be 5 minutes. So because I want to keep it short, I'm going to actually be such a geek, and I'm going to set my stopwatch for 5 minutes. If you know all about tab, this is your chance. Bathroom break, refresh your cold drink. For those of you who don't know tab at all, or you kind of understand it, but this is your moment. This is for you, and I'm happy to do it. Let me close down this and close down this. Okay, you ready? 5 minutes on how to read tab. We put 5 minutes on the big board. All right, you guys, here it comes. Boom and boom and come on. Where'd it go? Come on, I put 5 minutes on the board. We got to have it. Hold on. Pull it up here loud and proud. Okay, there it is right there. And got to find the screen, man. This, no, this, no, this, that. Okay, here it comes. Now we'll put 5 minutes on the board. There we go. Okay, tab. You can do this. Tab is lines and numbers. This is easier than you think, and it's really important. And today is the day. All right. Tab is ancient, by the way. Tab goes back, way back in human history. Whatever you think of as real music, what piano players play, for example, tab came before that. When you learn tab, you are going way back, man. This is almost primitive. Okay. Tab involves 6 horizontal lines. Every line literally represents one of your guitar strings. You know, when you hold your guitar, you got 6 horizontal strings. Okay, for those of you who might be listening instead of watching, the page, oh, by the way, this is a page from my electronic book called The Guitar Week 1. Is that what it is? Or Week 1? Hold on. Yeah, The Guitar Week 1. Okay. Essential skills, learning to read tablature. Here's one of the easiest things you'll learn, reading guitar tablature, also known as tab. It's a very old method of writing music for stringed instruments, simple and direct. Tab is very visual. It's the guitar equivalent to painting by numbers. Every horizontal line literally represents one of your guitar strings. It's like a picture of your guitar. Whenever there's a number presented, that number tells you what fret to press on that string, right? The string, that's the horizontal line cutting right through the number. Now, the number one challenge for many, many people involves the orientation of the image, and that's what I'm calling real talk. So I'm just reading from the page. Real talk, the image above may seem counterintuitive, but the top horizontal line does indeed represent the skinny string, the thin E string. As a player, when you look at your guitar, right, the first string closest to your face is the fat E string. You got to flip it upside down for tab. Don't stress out about this. You can do this. Don't let this be the stumbling block. You know, don't give up. If some of you are already like freaking out, hang in there. Don't go anywhere. Okay. When I take my yellow guitar here and I turn it this way, you could call it upside down. That's what tab looks like. The skinny string is up top. The fat string is down below. Do not question this. Accept it. Give in to the reality of tab. It's never going to change. Don't even form an opinion about it. It is what it is. Okay? The top line of tablature is your skinny string. I know some of you are like, okay, yeesh. We get it. But for some people, that's a big stumbling block. Okay. Continuing down the page, tab does not tell you which finger to use. So if you see the number 7, it doesn't mean you have to grow a 7th finger, right? Tab simply tells you where to press on the neck of the guitar, but you use whatever finger you want to use, unless some teacher or somebody is telling you which finger to use, right? But I'll say it one more time. The number, tablature in general, and the numbers specifically do not tell you which finger to use. Okay, so that image, the tab there with that 7, you know, right towards the top of the page. See how I wrote the names of the strings in that nice little diagonal line. And I used a lowercase e to remind you and me and everybody that that top line is indeed your skinny string. Easter bunnies go dancing after Easter. It's a cute way to remember the strings as long as you start on the skinny first strings. I'll say it again. Easter bunnies go dancing after Easter. Cute, huh? Okay. Lines equal strings. Numbers equal frets. Got it? And you only play what the number tells you to play. So see that 7 on the skinny E string? That's the only string you're going to touch with your fretting hand. And it's the only string you're going to pluck with your pick. Okay, that's 7 on the skinny string. Actually, I should only pluck it one time. That's it, right? Easy peasy. End of story. We're not concerned about the name of that note. Happens to be the note B, be bravo. But we don't even care because we're coloring by numbers, right? When you color by numbers and you paint by numbers, you follow the instructions and you step back and you see what you've painted, right? The name of the note doesn't matter. That's why this is kind of primitive, right? And yet, the vast majority of guitar books you ever buy have tab and probably standard notation as well. See at the hot cross buns at the bottom of the page? Sexy, huh? Bet you never thought you'd learn hot cross buns. Today's the day. Hot cross buns. I messed up hot cross buns. Hope no one's recording this. Okay. So I'm reading from the page again. It says, okay, here's a song using the thin E string to get you started. Experiment with different combinations of fretting fingers. Don't get in the habit of using your index finger for every note. You would never do that, right? Above the tab, you'll see standard music notation. If you have experience reading music, great. Otherwise, ignore it and focus on the tab, okay? And that's about 5 minutes. So I'm going to stop that. Okay. Excellent. Okay. If you can play hot cross buns at the bottom of the page and it sounds like hot cross buns, then you are reading tab, my friends. Okay. Why did I choose that song? It's tradition. Doesn't everybody learn hot cross buns on any instrument they ever pick up? Trombone, electric wazoo, everything. Hot cross buns. So. Now, some of you, your life just changed. Some of you are just coming back from the kitchen with your cold drink and hoping we're going to get on to something else. Some of you maybe are still a little bit shaky. This exact page is also available in the PDF section of my website, song-bike.com, or you could just get the actual book. And hey, that's a little segue. I'm going to stop sharing, okay? Hey, William, thank you for your super chat. And Randy, thank you for your super chat. I really do appreciate that, you guys. Okay. You guys are saying a lot in the chat. I'm going to check out what you're saying in the chat in a second. I take great pride in this series of books. Okay, real quick, sales pitch. I wrote 3 guitar books for beginners. The Guitar Week one, the Guitar Month one, and the Guitar Year one. I put a lot of thought into these because I was getting requests for a guitar book for beginners. And I couldn't quite wrap my head around the project because everybody calls themselves a beginner. I should say, so many people call themselves a beginner that I knew I couldn't write one book that was going to make everybody happy. But we all know who's had the guitar for 1 week, right? You did your first week with the guitar, your first month, your first year, right? It's pretty easy to put yourself in one of those categories. So once I came up with that little brainstorm, I thought, okay, I can focus on that. I can write a book for someone who literally is spending their first week with the guitar and so on, right? That helped me focus. I really like these books. If you're not sure, if you feel like a beginner, but maybe you know a little bit of stuff and you think, well, maybe I don't need the first week, great. Get the Guitar Year one. There's so much cool stuff in that book. If there's stuff in this book that is a big mystery to you, then you can backtrack and do the Guitar Month one. You know what I mean? Every one of those books, well, the Guitar Year one has a video, the Guitar Month one has a video. I don't think I made an actual video for the Guitar Week one because it wasn't super necessary. Anyways, these books are all available to you at my website, song-bike.com. You get them sent to your email address instantly as a PDF. You do not get a hard copy book in the mail. It's just too expensive to print and ship. Whereas the electronic version is wonderful. And you can make it nice and big on your computer screen in case you're nearsighted like me. You can print out 1 or 2 pages. You don't have to print out the whole book. You don't have to print out any of it. So that's a little 5 minutes, 6 minutes on tab. Debbie says, I'm so happy to see you doing this lesson on tab. Thank you, Debbie. You are very welcome. Rock Lobster says, year 5 can still be a beginner. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all students, and I'm not just being humble. I 100% have the mindset of a student because I know how little I know, and I'm always seeing things. A moment that had a big effect on my philosophy. I was working in a guitar store in my early 20s, and my boss had just been to a guitar festival where he was one of the featured performers. And there were a lot of excellent guitar players, including him. And he came back from the festival when the weekend was over, and he said, wow, he said, a really cool experience because this other guy on the bill, hotshot guitar player, asked my boss for a little private lesson. Said, hey man, I saw that one thing you're doing on stage. You mind? Would you show me? Could I actually I don't know if he paid him or not, but would you actually give me a lesson on that thing you just did? And this is one of the other performers who's an extremely talented guy. And my boss was just tickled by the whole thing. And I thought, how cool is that, man? How cool is that? Like everybody can learn, everybody wants to learn. And you guys know what I'm talking about because we all see people, thanks to social media and YouTube, we all see people doing something. You think, wait, how they just do that, right? So it was fun for me to hear as a young person, to hear about, pros, experienced players, way more experienced than I was at the time, meeting at that same level. Like, hey, would you show me that? That was cool. I thought, what a cool example. And here I am talking about it. I mean, that could have been 1992, 1993. Here I am talking about it now. There you go. Charlie, I am trying to remember the guy's name. The guy, my boss at the music store, named Jim Craig, great guitar player, great singer. The guy, he was from Indiana. His name was Dan something. I'm 99% sure his name was Dan. He was an acoustic guitar, a fingerstyle acoustic guitar player from Indiana. And his name will come to me. Okay, I'm looking at the chat. Poopa John says, what do they mean by finding voicings on the guitar? Great question. Voicings. Let's take a minute and talk about voicings. And a quick way is to simply do it. And I'm going to do it, and then we'll talk about it. I'm going to take a D chord. I'm going to move it up 2 frets. I just played D to E, but I didn't do E the way you might think I would do E. I didn't go. I did a different voicing, right? For us, we have such a physical and visual instrument. A voicing looks like, a different combination of fingers on a different part of the neck. That's what we would call it. But other people, like composers, other people might call it a voicing. So D up 2 frets is a different voicing of an E major chord. It's no better or worse than what we consider to be the normal E chord. It's higher, so that's different, right? It's a higher sound, but it's not just that it's higher, it's also the order of the notes. That's another way to describe what a voicing is. If you think of then E, the definition of an E major chord is the note E, the note G sharp, and the note B. Okay, E, G sharp, and B. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize that, no quiz, but you need those 3 notes. Doesn't matter which one's high or low, but when you strum an E chord, by definition, you're strumming at least 1 E note, at least 1 G sharp, and at least 1 B. When I take the D grip, the D formation, D is in delta, and I move it up 2 frets, the skinny string, that's the note G sharp, skinny string 4th fret. The second string, the B string 5th fret, that's note E, and the 3rd string 4th fret is a note B. So there's my G sharp, my E, and my B. Is that an E chord? For sure. As long as I have 3 notes with those 3 names, it's an E chord. But it's a different voicing. When I strum the big old cowboy version of the E chord, it's not just that it has 6 strings and that's a lower sound. It's also the way their notes are stacked up. I'm going to grab my E major chord. I'm going to arpeggiate it. And I'm going to say the names as I go. E, B, E again, G sharp, B, E. And as you guys know, the sound of a chord is a powerful sound, that harmony. It's a powerful sound. But it's let's call it a flexible sound. You can find E major chords all over the neck, and each one is going to bring something else to the table. But again, to be an E major chord, it has to have at least 1 E, 1 G sharp, and 1 B, but different effects, right? And as a guitar teacher, the quickest way for me to introduce you guys to other ways of playing any chord is to take something you already know, like a D, and just move it, right? That's a really convenient. Oh, this is going to help us for one of our guitar play-along songs. Oh, let's do it right now. What a great, Poopa John, you gave me a great segue. You do not need a capo for this play-along song I'm going to do right now, but you will have an opportunity if you choose to take that D formation, move it up the neck. All right, so if you guys, Bill, I see your question, and I'll get to that. How about if I get Bill's question after? Well, Bill, I'll answer your question right now, and then we'll get to the play along. William Collier says, do you ever experience frustration when trying to teach guitar remotely to some old curmudgeon via FaceTime? Bill, I've never taught an old curmudgeon, FaceTime or otherwise. But do I experience frustration? Yes. I'm not going to lie, but it's not exactly for the reasons you think. I think I would venture to say that any instructor is frustrated by a lack of effort, not by someone who's trying their best, a bad attitude, not from someone who has a good attitude and they're just doing the best they can, right? So, but speaking only for myself, that's the frustrating part of my job. Not someone who's doing their best. That doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated, and it doesn't mean that, I mean, it comes with the territory. I'll tell you what, though, when a student is doing something that I find frustrating, sometimes it's they didn't hear what I just said, and they continue to do the thing, they continue to grind away at this skill when I just told them the better way to do it, or the easier way to do it, or the right way to do it, or whatever. So what I tell myself, though, is that it's not that the student is ignoring me by any means. It's more that they're so focused that they're working it out, man. They're working it out in their mind. And in a minute, they're going to come up for air, so to speak, right? They're underwater. They're like splashing around. It's not going too well. They got to come up for air at some point, and then we'll regroup. And sometimes you know, in baseball, when a pitcher is having a bad outing, but the manager leaves them in and lets them like work their way out of it, right? You know, sometimes you gotta leave the pitcher in and say, you know what? I know you're getting shelled. I know, but maybe that's what that pitcher needs. Maybe they need to like find their way out of that thing. And sometimes you call the bullpen and you get them out of there. I get it. But so there are times when I'm frustrated, but I sometimes I let it play itself out, because at a certain point the student is they're gonna have to say, okay, so what am I doing wrong? And then I repeat whatever I told them 2 minutes before, you know. So that's a since you asked, Bill. But it's I mean, for me, it comes with a territory. So if I were easily frustrated, I'd be in the wrong profession, right? Although, honestly, I've had plenty of time to think about this. Name me one profession that doesn't require a pretty decent level of patience, right? You guys, I see there's dozens and dozens of you in the chat right now. I know some of you are retired, but you probably retired from a job, all right, a regular job. Pretty much every job requires a certain amount of patience. So while I consider myself a patient person, I consider that part of the reason I make a living doing my job successfully. I don't think I have the monopoly on patience, or that even being a teacher is the job that requires the most patience. My son has a summer internship, so those people at his place of work for the summer, you know, they got to be patient with him, right? They got to get the interns on board. That takes patience, right? That everything takes patience. Very proud of my son. Got a great internship right here in the state of Connecticut. And that means he's living home with us for the summer, which is great. I don't take that for granted, and it makes me so happy. Good job, son. Okay, so now, if that's okay. Okay, good. All right, so now let's do A to Z Me is like, what's our play along song today? Okay, let's do it. Here comes our play along song, boom. Well, we're going to do two, and one for Bob Dylan's birthday. We'll get to that in a little while. We did a Bob Dylan song about 6 live streams ago, if you're keeping track. And so I wanted, as much as I want to do a Bob Dylan song, and we will, I also want to do someone else. So from the songwriting pen of J.J. Cale, we have the awesome song called After Midnight. And here it comes. Let's spend a minute. There we go. with a little background. There you go. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. How about that? Okay. After Midnight. Now, Eric Clapton made this song super famous, but J.J. Cale's original version is just cooler. It just is. And slower and easier for us to rock out on and have some fun. Okay. So I am going to hopefully keep this nice and short. Okay. After Midnight by J.J. Cale. What do you need? You need a D major chord. You need F, you need G, and you need A7. How you play those chords to some extent is kind of up to you, right? I'm going to give you some options though. Just to remind you, what the tune we're talking about, the way J.J. Cale plays it. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. Ring a bell. After midnight, gonna chug a lug and shout. The way I'm doing it is not the way Eric Clapton does it, right? You guys, it's as if there's like some stimulants involved. Eric Clapton is like doing this highly caffeinated version of it. I mean, it's a great song, the way Eric Clapton does it, but J.J. Cale's version is so awesome, and that's the one we're focusing on right now. Okay, so in terms of your left hand, any way that you're comfortable doing D, F, G, and A7, any way is okay with me, okay? I'm going to give you some options, though, because this song is a great opportunity, no matter what you're comfortable with, even if you're totally comfortable, say, with an F chord. It doesn't mean that the old-fashioned F chord or the F bar chord is the best option. It certainly isn't the only option. Okay, so let's talk about some other options. This is why Poopa John's question about voicings is so helpful. See at the bottom of the page, there's a diagram for F, but it's up at the 5th and 6th frets. It's a D grip up 3 frets, and that is an F chord. You can only strum the 3 skinny strings. Well, that's an F chord. 2 frets higher, that's a G chord. And then 2 frets higher than that would be an A at 9, 10, and 9. But A7 sounds so much cooler. You gotta reconfigure your fretting hand. 9, 8, 9. See that diagram for A7? It's worth it because it sounds so much cooler than just a regular A. So check this out. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. See what I did there for F? I went up 3 frets. For G, I went up 2 more frets. After midnight, gonna chug a lug and shout. So those of you who are not great at their regular cowboy version of the F chord, you're not off the hook. Now you got a much easier version of F ready to go. Gonna cause talk and suspicion, gonna give an exhibition, find out what it is all about. That's that A7. Again, you could just use the traditional D grip, move it up so you're at 9, 10, 9, and that's an A major chord, but I'll flip it around 9, 8, 9. A7 just fits the song much better. Okay, so that's one option for fretting the chords. Let's call that plan B. Plan A is just playing the regular old D, G, and F, and A7. Okay. Plan C, getting some power chords involved. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. What I just do, instead of playing an F chord, I played an F power chord. Index finger 1 on the fat 6th string, ring finger or pinky 3 on the 5th string. 1 and 3, only those 2 strings, but at the same time. That's an F power chord, also known as an F5, because you're playing the 1st and 5th notes of an F major scale. Up 2 frets, that's a G power chord. Up 2 more frets, the A power chord. Okay, so cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it's all about. Right? It's the power chord version. Sounds great with this song, specifically with J.J. Cale's version of it. It sounds great, you know? So 3 different fretting hand possibilities. The old-fashioned D, F, G, A7, the D formation up the neck, and the power chord. By the way, for the power chord version, I'm still doing regular D. I'm changing the power chords for the F and the G and the A, you know? Okay, so a few different options there. We are still going to talk about, or we still have to talk about the, hold on there, okay, the strum pattern, what your pick is going to be doing, and then the thing I'm calling the piano riff, because it's imitative of the piano riff. This song has some sweet, sweet piano, and other than the guitar solo, the piano is kind of the main chordal instrument, which is very cool considering J.J. Cale is, you know, a guitar playing songwriter. But I don't know who's playing the piano, but whoever it is, it sounds so good. Very subtle and sweet. So let's talk about that piano riff. We're going to imitate it. See that piano riff right there? It's just a D major chord. This is not what the guitar is doing. This is what the piano is doing. And this is imitative of what the piano player is doing, especially in it's audible in the very beginning of the tune. Notice my D formation. My D chord is staying right there. I'm adding my pinky as needed. See where it says 3 pinky? Now, the cool thing is we're not piano players, and we're not obligated to make this sound exactly like what the piano player is doing. This gets us in the ballpark, right? You're going to hear it loud and clear, so I figured it's my duty to give you something that you could do that's appropriate, you know? What I just played, that happens 4 times during the intro of the song. See how it says intro up at the top of the page? And she's a D with 4 slash marks, another D with 4 slash marks, and so on. Okay. I mean, you could just strum a boring old D chord, but, you know, with 1 minute of practice, you could get that little riff going. Okay. And that riff, you can insert that at other moments too. See how the verse line says D, F, G, and then a bunch of Ds? During those Ds, after midnight, gonna let it all hang out. You could sneak it in there, right? If you were so inclined. The piano player does, I don't know if they do it every time, but you know, it's nice to have something to put in there, right? Okay, let's talk about your strumming. I'm planning on doing a variety of strumming, partly because it makes my life more fun, also because I very much want to show you musically, without talking so much, some different options, right? No matter what, every one of those slash marks under every one of those chords, you could treat that as a downstroke. So the verse could be 4 Ds. After midnight, 2 Fs, 2 Gs, and 4 Ds. Because maybe that's your jam. Maybe that's what you're most comfortable with. I'm a huge proponent of keeping the strumming simple until your left hand, your fretting hand, is 100% comfortable. No, you're just going to get frustrated if you try to do fancy schmancy stuff with your pick when your left hand is not comfortable with the chords, right? Second plan, you could treat every one of those slash marks as a down up. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. Just nice light downs and ups. It's a great sound. Couple quick reminders. Hold the pick as loosely as humanly possible. If half of you drop the pick during our play along in a minute, that's great with me. I love it. Anything's better than squeezing it too tightly. Second thing, I'm sure I don't say this often enough. Upstrokes. When you're strumming chords like this and you're doing upstrokes, the upstroke is not a big commitment to hitting all 4, 5, 6 strings. Most of the time, your upstroke should be just maybe 2 strings, 3 strings. Whatever you do, do not push yourself to strum the maximum number of strings on the way up. The upstroke is almost an afterthought. Another way of putting it is the less you think about the upstrokes, the better. I were to slow this down, check out the upstrokes. Down, down. Hear that? I mean, the upstroke is maybe 2 strings maximum. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. I will switch over to the power chords at some points. The last thing, and then we're going to start in a minute. I'm going to be doing a lot of those down-up strums like I just did, but I'm going to be making what I've heard described as emotional decisions about making some of them louder or softer. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight. Okay, you get that texture, right? That's hard to explain. It's hard to diagram out, but many of you are going to hear me doing it, and I want to address it. And like I said, I've heard described as making an emotional choice. You know, you're reacting to the music. It's not that I don't want to discuss it, but by labeling it an emotional decision, that shows you that there's not some science behind the decision-making process. I mean, there kind of is, but it gets me off the hook. At least I feel a little bit off the hook, and I'm just reacting emotionally to the music. Okay, you ready to do this? Our first of 2 play-along songs of the evening. After Midnight, as written and recorded by J.J. Cale. Doesn't get much cooler than this. There is a guitar solo during the song. When the guitar solo kicks in, if you're playing along with the actual song, the form of the song doesn't change. It's still everything you see right there. The verse just keeps repeating. The intro only happens at the intro, right? After the intro, it's just the verse over and over again. Even when the guitar solo comes in, the guitar solo takes up the first 2 lines of the verse, and then the lyrics come back in on the 3rd line of the verse. You'll see. If some of you are so inclined to play a little guitar solo, I highly recommend the headquarters pattern at the 10th fret, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. Okay? Okay. Here, let's do this. Intro, I'm going to put in that little piano riff 4 times, and then the words come in. I'm ready if you're ready. I'll see you on the other side. 2, 3, 4. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, gonna chug a lug and shout. Gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it's all about. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, gonna shake your tambourine. After midnight, gonna be peaches and cream. Gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it's all about. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. Gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it's all about. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, gonna let it all hang out. after midnight. Gonna let it all hang out. I wrapped up there on a D7 chord to give it a little bluesy flavor, and the D7 voicing that I chose was a C7 up 2 frets. So C, pinky on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, move up 2 frets, but do not strum the skinny or the fat E strings, just the 4 inside strings. And there's a nice little D7. The song's in the key of D. It has that great bluesy vibe. Okay, how'd you do? I hope some of you tried the power chords. I hope some of you took that D formation up the neck. I put that piano riff in a lot. I'd have to go back and check. I was probably overdoing it. But here's the thing. Anytime you fill in space, it feels weird to not fill in the space the next time it comes around, right? Like, oh, someone's got to do something. It feels too empty, right? To not do something there. Okay, I'm going to wet my whistle. Stand by, my friends. Okay, and we're back. I'm checking out what you guys are saying in the chat. I see some talk about okay, talking about some Irish history. All right. It's part of our education here. Interesting, very interesting. Barry, thank you for educating us. I see you talking about Val talking about a William Butler Yeats poem, Easter 1916. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay. All right, excellent. All right, so there you go. After midnight. By the way, the J.J. Cale guitar solo in After Midnight. I love that. I've said this before about J.J. Cale guitar solos. That's just my style, man. Less is more. He gets a lot done when he plays a guitar solo. It's deep stuff. I'm a huge fan. So I definitely recommend listening to the tune and pay extra attention to the guitar solo. Very, very hip. So yeah, J.J. Cale. Eric Clapton made a lot of money for J.J. Cale, After Midnight and Cocaine, and then they recorded together, right? They made some sweet albums, the two of them together. I recommend checking out the stuff they did together as well. Randy says, fun song. I really like J.J. Cale. Charlie's asking a good question. Charlie says, when I play the D power chord, was I playing 5-7-7? During the song right there, I did not do the, I did not do what you're talking about. You can do that. Charlie, when I switched over the power chords, I still did the D the old-fashioned way, and the power chords were the F and the G and the A. But you're right, I could have done exactly what you said, a D power chord. Why did I choose not to? I actually gave it some thought. Because of the nature of the tune, it does sound good to have that, maybe because the way the piano is contributing. It sounds kind of good to have a little bit of jangle in there. It's not like a hard rock tune where it's nothing but power chords. Well, I mean, Eric Clapton did his own thing with it. But bear with me for a second here. Let me see if this will prove my point. What I'm looking for here is that, and that, and that. Okay, so I just put a little distortion on, right? So if anybody did the tune with all power chords, after midnight, gonna let it all hang out. Right? Nothing wrong with that. It's a different vibe. After midnight, chug a lug and shout. fun, right? Just a different vibe. And I just love the discipline involved in J.J. Cale's approach to lots of stuff. Because I think it is a type of discipline, and just contrast it with what Eric Clapton did with the tune. Again, no judgment exactly, but less is more, man. No matter what, no matter whose version you think is the best or whatever, it's so fun to contrast them, right? To hear like, oh, this is one person's approach, this is another person's approach, and it just makes us all better listeners, Okay. Always like an opportunity to turn on my blues driver distortion pedal, which is more than enough distortion for me. It's funny because I'm sure for some people, there's so many distortion pedals out there. The blues driver might be one of the more, it's not designed for metal, but it does the job for me. Oh, speaking of the blues driver, Larry Campbell, I'm going to share a link in the description of this video. I just found a really cool interview with Larry Campbell that popped into my social media feed. Larry Campbell, many of you know him as a guitar. Well, first of all, he and his wife are out there on tour all the time, Larry and Teresa Campbell. So keep your eyes open for them coming through your neck of the woods. Many of you might know him, and he came to your attention as a touring member of Bob Dylan's, touring and recording with Bob Dylan a while back. Time flies, but late 90s into the 2000s for many years. And then he was also involved with Levon Helm, the last couple of Levon Helm albums, which are great albums. Just a terrific multi-instrumentalist, Larry Campbell. Why did the blues driver remind me of Larry Campbell? And the interview that I'm going to give you the link to with Larry Campbell. I saw Larry Campbell play back when Levon Helm was still alive and doing those rambles, the midnight ramble shows at his barn in upstate New York. And I noticed that Larry Campbell had a bunch of pedals, including a nice, humble little Boss blues driver. I was like, oh, he could play through anything, and he's playing with a blues driver, man. It's a great pedal. It does the job, the Boss blues driver. Ringo says, JJ has a great song called Stay Around. Yeah, I love that song, Stay Around. I mean, I've never heard a bad JJ Cale song, but some of them just, have left their mark on me. So anyways, Larry Campbell, I have on my list of things here. You might get a kick out of hearing him talk about his career and how he started. And February 9th, 1964. Is that the exact date? I think so. Anybody not know what major musical event happened? I believe it was February 9th, 1964. Anybody not know what I'm talking about? Live TV, crime went down in the US apparently on that night, because so many people on the night of February 9th, 1964, so many people watching TV so they could see what? If you don't know, put it in the chat. No, if you do know, there you go, Charlie Beagle. Larry Campbell, in this interview, it's one of the first things he mentioned. Beatles and Ed Sullivan. It's almost like it is. There's a generation of musicians. That's how they all started. They may not have played an instrument prior, or they may have played an instrument. Once they saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, that's where their career began. And those people they walk amongst us now, right? All those people who some of them are really little kids in 1964. But that was the turning point, man. And they all went on to be, not all of them, but so many musicians of a certain age. That's what they say. They say, I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and that was it. That was it. Their lives their path was clear, So I'm going to put a link to that Larry Campbell interview in the description of this live stream. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. What else is on my mind? And don't forget, if you have a question, please put it in the chat with some question marks in advance. I'm here for your questions, my friends. Bill Kirchen. Who is not a Bill Kirchen fan? Bill Kirchen, just fantastic Telecaster player, tours around all the time. Bill Kirchen played with Commander Cody. Is it actually Bill Kirchen playing Hot Rod Lincoln, that famous Commander Cody song? I should know that. So why am I bringing up Bill Kirchen? I post stuff on social media like everybody, and some things you can see who's looked at your story that you posted or whatever. And I posted a thing this morning, and Bill Kirchen watched my little guitar riff promotion for today's live stream. Like, Bill Kirchen, I mean, I'm fighting the urge to say, well, he probably did it by mistake, because maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he saw like the image of my hands in this guitar, and he's like, well, I'll check out to see what that is. Bill Kirchen, man. Anyways, I'll put a link to a Bill Kirchen video in the description of this live stream. Among the many things that I think of when I think of Bill Kirchen, the guy is such a Telecaster nut, and he tours so much that he devised a method where he could take the neck off his Telecaster easily to get it into a smaller case to make it easier for him to travel, like to fly and stuff, right? So it's not just that he unbolts the neck and then puts it back on when he gets to his destination. I can't think of the term. You guys who are handy with tools and parts will know. He unbolts his Telecaster, right? Instead of screwing the screws back in, he had inserts implanted, metal inserts. What's the term I'm looking for? So that when he bolts the Telecaster neck back in, it's not just the screw going into the raw wood, it's just going back into the metal. So the wood is still intact. The wood doesn't get reamed out. What's the term I'm looking for? Somebody tell me. One of you hardware store guys. So not only does the guy take apart his Telecaster on a regular basis, he's doing it, number one, because he tours all the time and it makes his life easier. And number two, he went the extra distance to have those things inserted in there. A to Z me, I'm thinking of the name of these I'm calling them inserts. Little things that are essentially permanently mounted, little metal things that are permanently mounted so that they can receive the bolts when he bolts it back in. And because think about it, if it was just the bolts going into the raw wood, you do it 10, 20, 100 times. Eventually, you're going to wear away the wood. The neck isn't going to fit anymore. Yeah, not shims. Imagine a coffee cup with no handle and no bottom of the coffee cup, like a cylinder, and threads on the inside of the cylinder. Okay, so those threaded inserts, maybe it's called threaded inserts. The threaded inserts are permanently mounted there. Who knew this live stream was going to turn into like hardware store talk? The threaded inserts are permanently mounted in there, and so the bolts are just going in and out of the metal inserts and not actually hurting the wood at all. I think it might actually be called threaded inserts. There you go. Charlie Beagle says, "You're a big deal, John. You just don't know how much." Who, me? I don't know. I'm not as big a deal as Bill Kirchen playing on Hot Rod Lincoln. Randy thinks it is. Yeah, if you guys, I don't see why it wouldn't be Bill Kirchen playing on that famous song, Hot Rod Lincoln. Remember a while back, we did the Hot Rod Lincoln exercise here in the, well, not exercise, we did the main riff for Hot Rod Lincoln here in our live stream. So, yeah, you never know with social media. You never know, someone's going to pop up as a viewer who viewed whatever you posted. And it's cool. It's nice. I don't take that for granted. And even if it was by mistake, let me dream a little bit. He probably saw this cool yellow guitar. Maybe he even recognized that, wait a minute, that's not exactly, maybe he even saw that it wasn't exactly a Fender product, and it got his curiosity. Maybe he saw the Bigsby. He's like, wow, what the heck? That's okay. Whatever it takes to get someone's attention in this day and age. Booba John, you're talking about chopping wood. What are you talking about chopping wood? Right, clarify that for me. Let me know what you mean by that. Okay, so I'm checking off a bunch of things. Ooh, here's a little something to think about. One of my students came in, took a bunch of lessons with me, maybe for a year or so. He is a black belt. He has his own martial arts studio, specifically Tang Soo Do. And he stopped in to see my new location here. You guys might know at the beginning of May, I changed my music shop. I moved a mile down the road, and it's a very, very, very positive, happy thing. I couldn't be happier with the move. So he stopped in to see my new place and to say hi. And I love talking with him because as a martial arts instructor for maybe 40 years, I forget how many years he's been doing it, but let's say 40 years, he and I have a lot in common. Working with people of all ages, working with physical skills, mental skills, keeping ourselves in that student mentality. Is very interesting talking with him about what it means to be an instructor, you know? And he used a phrase that I liked a lot that I thought I would share with you guys. He was using it in terms of martial arts training, learned response, a learned response. So you're in a position and something happens and you react with a learned response, right? And I thought, oh, I like that term, learned response. For instance, when you guys see the letter capital D, right? And your hand, whoomp, hopefully your hand just, you don't even think about it, right? You just grab a D chord unless you're told otherwise, right? Some other version of it, a learned response. So I just, I love new ways of describing old things, because the guitar doesn't change. It's how we think about it that changes, and how our abilities change. The guitar is just sitting there waiting. You ever had that feeling where a really good player takes your guitar and plays all this great stuff, and they hand the guitar back to you, and you're like I know I've had that feeling. I think I didn't know those notes were even in my guitar. Like how'd they just do that? So because the instrument is not really alive, right? It's just sitting right there. How we react to it, how we approach it, how we think of it, that's what develops over time, right? It's not just about faster fingers. So I like new language and new ways of saying things, because maybe the way I describe it will make my life, will help me look at the instrument in new ways, and certainly might help a student look at it in a new way. So I liked his phrase, a learned response. He's talking about it in terms of martial arts, but I thought, I'm going to keep that in mind. You've had that experience when someone says something a certain way that just works for you, right? And someone else said something that didn't quite click, and as soon as you heard it another way, like, oh, why didn't that guy say that? The student quote of the week, remember, this is better than the other place. At least I'm learning something. The kid's my new favorite student. Okay, so there you go. All right, how about if we're going to get to our Bob Dylan play-along song in a few minutes. Today is Bob Dylan's 84th birthday. In fact, I can't quite explain this. I'm going to stop sharing here. Okay, I can't quite explain this except somehow he's not playing a show tonight. Bob Dylan, as you may know, is on tour with Willie Nelson and Billy Strings, and who else did I see? Sierra Farrell on mandolin. And I guess they're not playing tonight. They're playing tomorrow night in Washington State, in Quincy, Washington, at the Gorge. So Bob Dylan has his birthday off. Good for him. He deserves it. But we will be doing a Bob Dylan song, and the song just might surprise you. For some of you, it might be a deep cut that you've never heard before, and some of you might say, "Oh, that song." I'll give you a hint. This song got Bob Dylan an Oscar. That's right, an Oscar, not a Grammy. I don't think it got him a Grammy, but for sure it got him an Oscar. That's the song that we're gonna do in a few minutes. Okay, but in the meantime, let's do a couple of quick things. Let's bang out a couple of quick things. My own dumb question of the week. I ask it so you don't have to. Is changing strings hard? Is it supposed to be hard? Is it always hard? Does it ever get easy? It's a dumb question. Yeah, it's kind of hard. The first time it's hard. The second time it's kind of hard. And let me tell you, the 1,000th time, I still managed to prick my finger. I still draw blood once in a while when I change guitar strings, especially if I'm not really concentrating. Yeah. Is it hard? It's a dumb question. It can't be that hard. People do it all the time, right? But I don't know. You might do it once every couple of years, and it might seem kind of hard. It's one of those skills that the more you do it, the easier that it gets. Typically, most of us have one guitar, one set of strings. We take the old strings off, and we get to work, and like an hour can go by, and we're like, and it doesn't go as smoothly as you'd like, and that gives you no real incentive to do it again down the road, right? You might put it off for a few years, or you just pay someone else to do it, right? Is it hard? Shouldn't be hard, right? How do you change strings in your guitar? Well, I got it in this book. One way to learn, of the many ways to learn. The Guitar Year One. Here on page 48, color pictures of my fingers, my harmony sovereign guitar, my tools, how to change guitar strings, specifically on an acoustic 6-string guitar. But is the dumb question of the week, is changing guitar strings hard? It kind of is. I'm not going to lie, it kind of is. And people don't even agree on the best way to do it. You're going to see videos and people claiming that their way is the best. I don't know. My way is the best. That's all I know. My way is the best. My buddy showed me. He said it was the best. I do it the way he showed me. It's the best. It works. My strings stay in tune. If you're a little bit scared of changing guitar strings, I get it. I get it. There will be blood. Hey, speaking of scary stuff, do not forget to vote in our poll of the week. The poll question: how do you feel about guitar repair people? Way in the lead. 51% of you say, I love my guitar tech. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, next down, though, 35% of you, you've never met a guitar tech. You don't know. I get it. I get it. You might feel you don't need one anytime soon, and that's possible, but you need one sooner or later, right? 5% of you, 5% say, my guitar tech is scary. Yeah, I get that. I get that, because there's best case scenario, they're really good at their job, and they're overworked and underpaid, and they're just, the social skills is not their, that's all that keeps them in business. I'm not talking about all guitar techs by any means. I'm talking about the ones that you might find a little bit scary. I get it. I get it. I've known guitar techs like that, where my students go to that guitar tech and they say, geez, it's a little scary. And then you get to know the person and it's all fine, And then 9% of you say other. And don't forget, if you are in the other category, don't forget to let us know what you mean by that. The question is, how do you feel about guitar repair people? So please vote. Wingo says, the only string I've ever broken is the G string. Is that normal? It's a little surprising. Yeah. But who knows? But yeah, by far the skinny string is the one that most people break more often than anything else. If I'll say this, it is always a possibility that if the same string keeps breaking, quiet down. What did I do? Okay. If the same string keeps breaking, then yeah, you might want to have it looked at by a tech. It could be some physical issue that's causing that, and that's a real thing. That some part of the guitar could be causing wear and tear on that string that it shouldn't be, and that's easy to remedy. Should be easy to remedy. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I hear buzzing. Okay, so it's a good question. It's a good question, Wingo, and definitely a thing that you want to talk about. A to Z Me, yeah, the song that we're going to do. Scott Rhodes says, I noticed that that my bigger semi-hollow body is often more comfortable on my left leg than on my right. Yeah, he says, have you found that different guitars ask to be played differently? I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. You have your relationship with any particular instrument, and the guitar, like I was saying, the guitar is not going to change. We have to adapt ourselves to whatever guitar we're playing. So yeah, Scott, I can see that. In general, the only guitar that I hold differently, especially if I'm really going to sit down and work on it, when I play slide guitar on my resonator guitar, I put my left foot up on something, and I cradle the guitar on my left leg, and I just found that I just feel more comfortable and I play better slide guitar when I hold the resonator guitar that way. So yeah, there's some truth to that. Whatever it takes to be comfortable, right? Whatever it takes, but that's interesting. Okay. Hold hold on here, you guys. Okay. I'm just looking at what we're saying in the chat here. Again, if you guys ask a question, Poopa John, I see what you're saying. Talking about chopping wood. Yeah, Poopa John, you're talking about the chop kind of sound. Let me see if I can. There we go. Yeah, I think Poopa John, when I hear anyone talk about chopping, that type of sound, very percussive sound, it's not a hard physical challenge. People tend to overthink it. In slow motion, hold on, do I have a little reverb? I'm going to take off the reverb for a second. Okay. That chop sound, which is such a great effect. It's almost too easy. So don't overthink it. I'm going to alternate between a strum and a chop. All downstrokes. The strum speaks for itself. I've got an E major chord, by the way. Now check it out. In super slow motion, when I go to do the chop, the first thing that happens with my picking hand, I rest the squishy. And we're back. I was just saying, slow motion. My hand gently comes down. I rest the squishy side of my palm. That's what touches the strings first. All 6 strings. That's what touches first. And then second, and it's stable, it's just staying right there. And then secondarily, my pick scrapes across the strings, but notice I'm still in contact with the string. My hand is like, it's as if I glued it down. And then with a little turn of my wrist, I scrape across the strings. Strum, mute, and scrape. We're going to call that mute and scrape. Okay, now I've seen people kind of struggle with this, and they're just know, if you're struggling with this, just know there's no trick to it. It really is as dumb as it sounds. You touch the strings with the side of your hand and you scrape across the dead strings. If any music sneaks through, well, it just means you stop touching the strings. Don't do that. You got to touch the strings. If you go slowly, you'll get faster at that mute scrape technique. And then you could kind of advance onto like a down, up, chop, up. But to be fair, I've had enough students struggle with that technique that I feel I'm not explaining it that great. And it worries me because like, dang, because some things I think I explain pretty well and I see people get it right away, not this. And I also think people are somehow overthinking it. It's as, we're talking about like I don't want to insult cavemen, but it's kind of a caveman skill, like touch the strings, scrape them. Like it doesn't go beyond that. Now, to do it at a fast tempo while you're changing chords, yes, okay, that's getting a little goofy. That's different. But to start off, that's within your ability. You can set yourself a challenge, like if any music sneaks through, when I say music, I mean a ringing string, the ceiling will fall, or you'll need a new septic tank, or whatever the case might be, Don't let any music through. Don't be satisfied with any kind of wonky scrape, you know, zero melody. Okay, there you go. I'm glad you asked, Poopa John, because I'm always looking for new ways or new opportunities to talk about that, because like I said, I've had enough students who struggle with that I take some of the responsibility for that. Like, well, I'm the teacher, I should find a good way to explain it, right? You know. In terms of changing strings, Rick G says getting the right string length for each string and how many wraps around. Yeah, how many wraps around the post is always a challenge. Yeah, I get it. I do it by feel at this point, but does this, since I'm referring to this book, yeah, I'm going to stand by this, but I encourage you to get other opinions too. In terms of like pulling the string through the post, but leaving enough slack so that you get a few windings around the post. I say you trim off from 6 to 8 inches. But there's people who are a lot more scientific than that, and I defer to them. I mean, that's great. My best advice, and hopefully anyone who ever gives you advice on how to change strings, please start off with 2 brand new sets of strings. You don't want to take all your strings off, have 1 set of strings, and then have something break or go horribly wrong, and then you're waiting for Sweetwater or Amazon or whoever. You don't want to do that. You want to have 2 sets of strings, brand new strings at all times, and it's just a good safety thing, you know. Okay. So we're going to get to our other play along in a minute. How about one more? Boom. Should I sell out? Why not? The most interesting offer I got this week for a product to sell to you, AI vocals, artificial intelligence applied to singing. If this is to be believed, and I'm sure this is a real thing, it just I find it kind of irritating. I'm sure you pay for this service, right? You write the melody, you write the words, and then you choose a singer's voice, an artificial intelligence powered voice to sing your song. And you can even choose like the breathiness of the voice or the presence of the voice. The service that was offered to me to sell to you said it's samples of real humans, real singers. They sample their voices, and I don't know much beyond that. So what you're getting is you are getting a human voice singing your lyrics to your melody. But it's, I don't know, man. So if we haven't already heard this in our mainstream culture, you know, get ready, because we're going to hear it. It's going to be out there. I don't know. To me, it's just kind of sad. But there you go. That's what I was offered this week to sell to you. Segment I call Should I Sell Out? Artificial intelligence powered vocals ready for you to add to your own personal songs. I don't know. I find it a little depressing, but that's where we are. That's life. That's life. Okay, check. Hey, speaking of social media, give me a follow. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for the term SongBike, SONGBIKE. I post lots of stuff. I even post little clips of me playing little guitar instrumentals. I get a kick out of it. I'll wake up on a Friday and write a little, 30-second guitar instrumental, and then use that to promote this live stream. And they come out pretty good. They're just ideas that I think would make kind of cool, just a cool thing to add to social media. So it's not just a picture of my smiling face holding a guitar. It's like, well, let's have a little cool little music. If you're curious, whether you find me on Facebook or Instagram, you can, today's story. Did I do one today or yesterday's? Anyways, that's one way you can hear me do cool little guitar things. Okay. Hey, let's get to the next song. Bob Dylan tune. Happy birthday, Bob Dylan. What song are we talking about? Well. Hold on. Here it comes from the soundtrack to the movie called The Wonder Boys. Bob Dylan contributed the song called Things Have Changed. And why did I choose it for tonight? It's a great song. And the chords are pretty user-friendly chords, man. There we go. That and this and that. There we go. Things Have Changed from Bob Dylan. All right. You need a capo on the 3rd fret. But by doing that, the chords become so much easier. A lot of E minors and A minors and B7s. Okay, so let's break it down. We got the capo at the 3rd fret. We have 4 and only 4 chords. E minor, A minor, B7. I'm going to give you a tip about the B7 and C. Not bad, right? 4 pretty friendly chords. And those of you who aren't sure about B7, there it is at the bottom of the page. B7, no fat E string, but everything else is fair game. In terms of the chords, the only other thing I want to mention about the only other tip, E minor is an easy chord, right? For this song, I would highly encourage you to do E minor with your middle and ring fingers, 2nd and 3rd fingers, because there are a number of times where you'll be changing from E minor to B7 or B7 to E minor, and your middle finger can stay right where it is, okay? So for this particular song, I recommend that version of E minor. I know you could do E minor with your index and middle fingers. There's no real advantage to that for this song. You're welcome to do it, but especially if you don't typically do E minor with your middle and ring, then hey, why not do it for this song? It's super easy. But your challenge is not that chord. That chord is easy. Your challenge is keeping that middle finger touching the string, even when you're going back and forth to the B7. Nothing like having a pivot finger or an anchor finger, whatever you want to call that finger. It can make a big difference, especially for those of you who are at a point in your progress where chord changing is just a pain, right? And that's, you know how to play the chord. The chords sound good. You're just at the point, and I call it the finish line. You're almost there. You're at the point where changing chords is what's frustrating you. I get it. Believe me, I get it. Okay, that takes care of the fretting hand. In terms of the strumming, lot of down ups. Again, like I said with After Midnight, you're going to hear me going down up, but making certain ones louder or softer to give the rhythm guitar some texture. And it's something I've learned to address and talk about, because I've had students look at me like, well, what did you just do? I said, I'm doing down ups. And they say, you're doing a lot more than just down ups, because they're hearing certain things being emphasized. I'm gonna fall back on my emotional decision excuse. I'm definitely playing things louder and softer, even while I'm objectively going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah. Some of them are louder, softer. I'm doing that by feel. And it's not that I don't want to talk about it with you guys, but it opens up such a can of worms that I don't think is super helpful. It's a kind of skill that you're going to develop on your own, as long as you're changing chords just fine. You're basically doing the down, up just fine. You're holding the pick nice and loosely. You are remembering that the upstrokes are typically just kind of glancing off a couple of skinny strings. When all that is going well, you probably will find yourself playing certain things louder or softer. You certainly are in a position to start doing that. What else? Just to give you an idea for the feel of the song. A worried man with a worried mind. No one in front of me and nothing behind. Maybe I'll slow it down a little bit, but that's the vibe of the song. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So every one of those slash marks that you see under all those chords, essentially every one of those slash marks could represent down, up. So the intro, 4 beats on 4 E minors, you could say that's 16 down ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then the verse comes in, okay? So I know this doesn't seem like a very sophisticated strum pattern, but that's the appropriate thing to do to get started playing the tune. There's not this distinct, specific, syncopated strum that's going on. Okay. Questions, comments? You got your capo? Ooh, I don't have my capo. Come on, man. That's why it sounded low. Capo on the 3rd fret. There we go. That's better. Wingo says, John and Paul rode a bus to the other end of Liverpool to learn the B7. Here we are getting it for free. Wingo, you have my respect. You know that story. That's a classic story. John Lennon and Paul McCartney, they knew there was a 3rd chord. They had E and A. They knew there was one chord they were missing, and they knew there's a guy in the other end of town who could show them that 3rd chord. Yeah, I love that story. Hey, you do whatever it takes, Okay, so this is a long tune. It's possible that I might not do every verse. There's 4 long verses. With all due respect, by the time we do 2 or 3 verses and choruses, you guys will get the vibe of it, Technically, this song has some pickup notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear the quick little guitar going, da, 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 boom. And that boom is what I wrote there as the intro. But technically, you turn on the song, you hear a little up, down, up, boom. And those notes are called pickup notes. So I'm probably going to put that in. Anything else we need to talk about? Those moments where that bottom line of the verse, the last line of the verse, where like E minor for 2 down ups and B7 for 2, and then back to the E minor. That is what I would predict would be a little bit tricky for in terms of the chord changes. In the middle of the pre-chorus, we see a C chord going to B7. So if that's a little tricky for you, yeah, those are the moments that you got to be on your toes. All right, and the vamp, Bob Dylan and the band, they do a instrumental vamp after each chorus, but it's the same chords as the chorus. So it's like they just do the chorus again with no words, and that fills in the space in a nice chill kind of way. All right, Word Man, let's do it. I'm going to count to 3. I'll do a quick little up, down, up, boom, and then we're into the intro. A 1. Oh, I'll see you on the other side. A 1, 2, 3. A worried man with a worried mind. No one in front of me and nothing behind. There's a woman on my lap and she's drinking champagne. Got white skin, got assassin's eyes. I'm looking up into sapphire tinted skies. I'm well dressed, waiting on the last train. Standing on the gallows with my head in a noose. Any minute now I'm expecting all hell to break loose. Our people are crazy, times are strange. I'm locked in tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. This place ain't doing me any good. I'm in the wrong town, I should be in Hollywood. Just for a second there, I thought I saw something move. I'm gonna take dancing lessons, do the jitterbug rag. Ain't no shortcuts, gonna dress in drag. Only a fool in here would think he's got anything to prove. A lot of water under the bridge, a lot of other stuff too. But don't get up, gentlemen, I'm only passing through. People are crazy and times are strange. I'm locked and tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. I've been walking 40 miles, a bad road. If the Bible is right, the world will explode. I've been trying to get as far away from myself as I can. Some things are too hot to touch. The human mind can only stand so much. You can't win with a losing hand. I feel like falling in love with the first woman I meet. Putting her in a wheelbarrow, wheeling her down the street. People are crazy and times are strange. I'm locked and tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. All right, how'd it go? A lot of downs and ups. Compared to After Midnight, this song is just longer, right? The form is longer, a lot of strumming, right? So depending how you look at it, it's a hard song because you got to keep track of where you are. Or you could look at it like, dude, it's E minor. You can't go wrong. Half the time you're strumming E minor with a capo, down, up, easy peasy. So of the dozens and dozens of people who are watching and the hundreds who are going to watch later this week, you guys all A to Z me, I'm reading your comment. You guys all are going to have different experiences. Remember, the ultimate goal is to put on the recording and play along with him. A to Z me says, do you know that in that song, the last verse where he says, the next 60 seconds could be like an eternity. Yep. And the song finishes exactly 60 seconds later. Whoa, I did not know that. Oh my God. Love it. Love it. Trippy, man. That's trippy. I'm gonna now I have to time it. I mean, it's not that I don't believe you, but like, I got to see that with my own eyes. That's wild. I love that line, man. Well, I mean, there's a lot of great lines in this song. Okay, so questions, comments. You guys do okay with that? Happy birthday, Bob. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your service. So you guys, I'm going to tell you about a couple of new albums and then let's call it. I'm going to put links to these albums in the description of this video. Marc Ribot, M-A-R-C-R-I-B-O-T. Super talented guy, very interesting guy. New album came out yesterday called Map of a Blue City. And I'm going to put a link to one of the songs in the description of this video. It's an album where he sings on all 9 tracks, as well as plays guitar, but he's not known as a vocalist. So I'm super interested in hearing the whole album because I think that's sort of another dimension of his artistry that I haven't heard before. He came to my attention as one of the great guitar players on Tom Waits' album Rain Dogs. Any Tom Waits fans out there, you know, Rain Dogs, Marc Ribot is one of the guys playing some very cool guitar riffs on that Tom Waits album. Another brand new album just came out yesterday, Taj Mahal and Keb Mo, very cool album called Room on the Porch. And I'll put a link to the title track of that song in the description of this video. One of those albums where as soon as a song kicks in, specifically the title track, it kicks in and they start singing. And I could just feel my shoulders just, whew. You know those times when you weren't aware that you were stressed? Or maybe you were aware, but you weren't aware that, you know, how your body was dealing with the stress until it stops and you just, oh, yeah, man. So it's like, I needed to hear that. So Taj Mahal and Keb Mo, the album and the song I'm going to share with you are both called Room on the Porch. Brand new album just came out yesterday. Very cool. All right, you guys. I think I checked off a bunch of things. I'm just checking out what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay. Oh, Scott Rhodes is making an interesting point. That those AI vocals, maybe using them for background vocals. Oh, interesting. See, you guys are so smart. Now that changes how I look at it now. You know, I was thinking like, oh man, people using it for fake singing, but background vocals is a little bit different. You know, so thank you, Scott, for like helping me see another perspective. Yeah. All right, you guys, stop sharing. There we go. Number 99. Number 99 next Saturday. It'll still be May. I'm going to wish you guys happy Memorial Day. Here in the States, Monday is Memorial Day. Many of us have the day off. If you don't have the day off, thanks for doing what you do, but I hope you do have the day off. I hope you use part of your time to play the guitar. I'm going to say a few good nights. Static Zigzag, Randy, Joseph, Scott, Debbie, A to Z, me, Wingo. Who else? Poopa John, Charlie, Rick G. Thank you guys for being here. Our final poll results. Okay, here we go. The final poll results. How do you feel about guitar repair people? 53% say, I love my guitar tech. 33%, I've never met one. 4%, you're scared of your guitar tech. I get it. And 9% other. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, there's our poll results. You guys, I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. I hope you have a great week and weekend. Play the guitar as much as you can. You won't regret it. I hope I gave you a few things to think about today. And I'll see you guys next Saturday. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. Take care.